Good morning, Tuvalu! I just had the sudden drop in my stomach the moment I unmuted myself. Has daylight savings happened in Tuvalu yet? God, I hope not. And welcome back to Star Trek, the original series, Season 2, Episode 1, Catspaw. Or as the real fans know it, God, it's been a while since I said that. Wait. Yeah, it's been so long I messed it up. Episode 7, Catspaw, or as the real fans know it, Episode 1. Yes, this is notably not a muck time, because once again, we are going through Star Trek in production order. So Catspaw, if you don't know the difference, Catspaw was the first episode they filmed for this season, or they were making the show. But even though it was released as the 7th, I'll get into why. I mean, that happens all the time in Star Trek. You probably know this. But in case you're just joining me for Season 2, I like to go through them in production order. It matters a lot more for Season 1. It probably doesn't matter at all for Seasons 2 and 3. But I'm autistic, so if you get all finicky about me insisting on the proper order, then I'm pretty sure it's a hate crime. So I guess that means I win the argument. But yeah, funny thing about this episode specifically, I mean, it was originally, it was literally written to be the Halloween special of 1967. It came out a few days before Halloween, whatever day this came out, like, I don't know, a few days. That's why it's episode 7 specifically. But the reason that's noteworthy is, of course, this is where we would be. This is where we've been in our TOS watch along, where it has been almost 2 years. It is. I watched The Cage in early February of 2023. In fact, I have it up here, February 4th, 2023. Been almost 2 years. We're 30 episodes in. But yeah, actually, we're 31, because there was a 2-parter. Look at that. Look at us. But yeah, we took a little break because of Lower Decks. So, of course, we're not watching this for Halloween. But hilariously, if Lower Decks hadn't come out when it did, we would have watched it on October 26th, otherwise known as the Saturday before Halloween that year. So brilliant. Thank you, Lower Decks. We're now off. It's definitely Lower Decks' fault, not one of the weeks I took off for being sick, like last week. You can still hear I have a lingering cough. I'm going to have that for a bit. But yeah, it's took it a while, a lot longer than I thought it would. I know it took a while because of shows that are winding down now, all those new shows. It won't take us 2 years to get to Season 3, fingers crossed. Actually, I think we should get to it this year. Yeah, in July. You know, Strange New Worlds will add a month to that, but, you know, that's just a month or two. Yeah, and I mean, it's great to have a new thumbnail. I didn't know this. Apparently, they changed the font of the font color in Season 2. It's a more vibrant orange. It is finally a picture of me that isn't 2 years out of date. And looking at the thumbnail of Spock, Alex drew for The Cage, and the thumbnail of Uhura that Alex drew for this, I would say it's been a very eventful 2 years. No, actually, I should point out, if you don't know, these aren't the characters, the thumbnails. The way I describe it to Alex, the way we do them is they're infinite budget cosplays. It's not that Uhura's white, it's that I'm white cosplaying Uhura. That's how it works. Same for 15th Doctor. But anyway, I'm starting to ramble, and I brought the thumbnail up, the time bar, and then it faded away. If you don't know what we are doing, if this is your first one or it's just been a while, well, first, hello, Best of Trek, Worst of Treks. Greeting, you're talking about one of my most hated episodes. Look, TOS has some low points. I don't know if I would call this one of the most hated episodes. I'll get into my review real quick, but to finish my thought, so people can set up as I ramble rather than the other way around. we are doing essentially an audio commentary track live. So I'll play a blurred version of the episode in the background. We'll get to that, and I have the time bar up. But in a little bit, we're going to do a countdown. We're going to do 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go. On go, everyone who hits play will be synced up, and we should be good. If you don't own Paramount right now, because Lower Decks ended a while ago, you'll catch the Section 31 movie if you buy it now. There's a link in the description. I watched them off some Blu-rays I own. I've backed up digitally. That's why they're on a computer. We are also watching I am watching the remastered version of episodes. I don't know if it matters for this one, but time-wise, it shouldn't matter. I checked once, literally once, and just assumed that was the case for every episode. And so if I comment on an effect or something, you might be seeing something a little bit different if you're not watching the remastered. But again, the one episode I checked on Paramount Plus, those are also remastered. It's just a personal preference. I do like old effects, but personally, I prefer my Enterprises not to be full of green screen holes. That's kind of where I draw my line. But yeah, Catspaw, best of Trek, worst of Trek. I don't remember this episode too well. Of course, I remember it's the Halloween one. I remember because Gene Roddenberry being Gene Roddenberry. That's right, my accent is inconsistent. They're very, nonchalant and unfazed about all the Halloween stuff happening. Because, of course, Gene Roddenberry loved his whole humanity evolving beyond emotion. You got TOS, right? And then you've got modern, Discovery, Strange New Worlds, those Star Trek. Somewhere in the middle is most of Star Trek, and that's the emotional range that I think really works. But no, I remember there's some weird things at the end, some weird justifications for things, but this is probably going to be one of my least remembered episodes. I haven't seen it in years since I watched it with my wife. I'm sure we had some fun. There's a big cat. I remember the big cat, and I feel like it's just gonna be a bit of goofy fun, but we'll see. Maybe it is dreadful. Actually, Best of Trek, Worst of Trek, if you want to talk about one of my most hated episode, next week is Metamorphosis, the Zephram Cochrane one, which is. If you don't remember it being that bad, the morality in that episode is genuinely shocking. I'll say that. I'll bet you credits to Navy Beans. Chekhov! Oh my gosh, we got Chekhov back. I've forgotten about Chekhov. Does he come in this episode? I don't remember when in the season he comes in. Chekhov's hair alone is worth calling it the worst episode. I will watch out for that. And Allie's worth, no, it's pretty good. There we go. So somewhere in the middle of these two opinions. Well, let's find out then, shall we? I don't remember. I might be getting chocolate cake at some point in this episode, because my wife's like that. But yeah, as I said before, I'm about to start. We're going to do a countdown. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go. It's not Doctor Who, so I don't have to go on a whole spiel about different frame rates. I'm not a fan of Metamorphosis either, but it's 1,000 times better than this. Come back next week, and we can challenge those opinions. Yeah, I'm going to do a countdown. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go. On go, everyone's going to hit play. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go. There we go. I did hit play. This is the first episode shot with him. Okay, yeah. I mean, that makes sense because it's the first episode shot of the season. But what badge does Ahura have? Because I noticed literally before hitting go live this episode, yeah, it's operations, that Alex forgot to draw the badge on the thumbnail, and I didn't catch it. Have I just not watched TOS in a while? Because the colors actually seem more vibrant than last season. Does anyone know if they got, like, a camera update or something like that? It's hard to tell because it's dark, too, but because they touched up the letters. I wonder if they got some sort of Technicolor advancement or whatever. I don't know. I do, however, find it hilarious, unless this is just how the bridge looks this season, that it's dark and spooky a little bit on the ship because it's a Halloween episode. This is the kind of camp I want from 60s Star Trek. That man looks like an action figure. I can't even stand up. I mean, we have made a lot of improvements in action figures over the years, but come on, guys. No, he looks like a Ken doll. Isn't that what Ken dolls look like? No, hang on, I'm sorry. This is important to me. Barbie Ken doll. Well, the second image is a naked Ken doll. Yeah, no, he's got, like, Ken doll face. I'm sorry, did I ruin your curse? Look, best of Trek, worst of Trek. I just like to point out, you may hate this episode, but we have 8 concurrent viewers. I don't think I've ever seen that for a watch-along. Evidently, people love this, or they also love how cute I am in the thumbnail art. It is very cute. Oh, there's the picture for the thumbnail. I am not going to do a funny voice for the intro because I have this cough. I could cough the intro. Hang on, let's give that one a go. There we go. That's my best attempt. See, look, the letters, they're more vibrant than usual, and that really confused me making the thumbnail. Oh, we have Screaming Lady, too. I didn't even clock that. I love the Screaming Lady in the intro. People love watching a good train wreck. No, people love fun. That's what's going on. Look, even the planet's just spooky black and white. I love, too, how I'm looking at this Enterprise going, is this actually the original and not remastered? Because so many things look a bit weird. The color, the textures and stuff. And then I go, no, Nathan, that's like a super modern CGI planet they're orbiting. Of course it's the remastered. Although they have a one of Spock's shirts in the Seattle, I think it's the MoPop, the Museum of Pop Culture, and I always thought it looked really desaturated, like way more than just for being in the 60s. Maybe it's because he got a more saturated one in season 2. I think they got a few props at the MoPop, if you're ever in Seattle. They have the... Oh, wait, that's a Smithsonian, the original Enterprise. Never mind, don't listen to me. When I went to the Smithsonian, I think it's before they touched up the Enterprise model, like probably a decade or so back. They had the Enterprise hanging in the gift shop, which always tickled me because I felt like I could buy it, you know, just there in the gift shop. Look, this guy's also like a chiseled action figure. You know, you're right. That's not great hair. Best of Trek, worst of Trek. That's not hair. But that's not great. Cue 10 minutes of meandering through the fog machine. I'm gonna pay attention to that because I've said a lot of times. I've noticed. Oh, actually, that's right now. 45 minutes left in the episode. I've noticed that once you get to about 45 minutes left in the episode, the length of, you know, like most Star Trek episodes, most modern television, really, the episode often picks up, and everything before that was just meandering. And it's really interesting to note. Like, I'm sure you can tell an hour-long story. It's just for some reason they seem to struggle with it. Okay, best of Trek, worst of Trek. Cue, like, just a great scene of some like, comedy spooky witches and then no one reacting. Tell me this scene is not hilarious. If you've never seen Catspaw, I don't think I told my wife what this episode was when we watched it. Look at that. This is what I want. Just how do we make a Halloween episode? Witches and cats. You know what? It's obviously a mask. But especially given what they are, that's a good mask for this show. Okay, I stand corrected. That face from Bones, that makes the episode alone. Look at him. He's like, what did I inject myself with before coming here? And now he's getting bored. It's brilliant. Look at this. How is this not amazing? It's just, they're just so unimpressed. And then Bones is like wondering if his weed went bad. This scene is like an ad for a bad haunted house. The crew of the Enterprise go through a bad haunted house, totally unimpressed with it. That's what I want, Best of Trek, Worst of Trek, you know? Brilliant. See, that's what I want. They're just horribly unimpressed, and I find that hilarious. I mean, it's very Gene Roddenberry's, like, oh, we've evolved beyond superstition to the point of not really being surprised or scared by spooky things, which, like, I get where he's coming from, but that level of a lack of emotion. Like, first off, that's not superstition. That's just emotion. Like, I don't believe in what's in a horror movie, but they're still scary, you know? So not only is it not the best television, like, you're not really going to make a scary episode like that. You're going to make a comedy. He's not trying to make a comedy. So it's this weird, unintentionally hilarious just juxtaposition of, like, cheap haunted house with them being totally unimpressed and unafraid, but also it's got this sort of high horse, morally preachy vibe that just doesn't make sense. And that all comes together to make, I hesitate to say so bad it's good. That's remastered, but that's an amazing haunted house, like, castle prop. But I get stuff out of this. It tells me early on I can't take the episode seriously in any way, shape, or form. No. But it's also TOS. So for me, just tell me that. Just tell me that I can't take you seriously at the start and we're good. That's what it is for me. Like, I like to say, a lot of people will watch those lists where it's like the 7 episodes of TOS that are like Balance of Terror or City on the Edge of Forever, the dramatic, very serious, like those specific types of episodes. And that's fine. If you want that, that's fine. TOS is not for everyone. But I always say, if you can't watch an episode like this and, like, have a good time, if you just watch those, like, 7 episodes from those, like, list of necessary episodes, the Mirror Mirror, Space Seed, I don't know if you're a TOS fan, right? Not in a gatekeeping sense, but, like, are you really a fan of TOS? Are you a fan of, like, a very specific set of TOS episodes? And I'm a fan of TOS, like, as a whole. I think Season 3 has got a lot of great episodes. There you go, I've said it. Don't try and tell me that if modern Star Trek did the crew go to a cheap haunted house, it wouldn't be a hilarious episode. Like the cast of Strange New Worlds going to a cheap haunted house and being unimpressed. That would be everyone's episode of the year. Like, come on. Look at him. Kirk's like just sick of this. There's only about 10 episodes of TOS I can't stand, and this is one of them. I mean, different episodes for different people, but you know, every now and then this is what I want. Well, I like the episodes. If an episode does the sense of humor right, you know, in the mirror universe of the Enterprise, in A Mirror Darkly, there's a scene where Archer throws like some meat at Porthos, but in the mirror universe, Porthos is like a Rottweiler or some real aggressive dog that's chained to the wall. That's the kind of camp I want when they do camp. Man, you can hear the emotion in his voice. Okay, what is that hair, though? Like, is that his actual hair? Because it's a different color. I need to look up a picture of Chekhov. Hang on. Chekhov. Hey, the production order mattered, though, because Chekhov has his hair, and then he changes it. Yeah, no, there he is. He's got, like, shorter, neater hair. I guess it's the same color, though, just about. I'm just upset, though, that most of the images are for Star Trek Chekhov are J.J. Abrams Chekhov, so. We will be watching those movies at some point, by the way. I just have to figure out when. I wonder, because in the 60s, I don't think you got, like, ads for the episodes. You wouldn't have known what's coming up nearly as much as you would nowadays. What it would have been like to sit down for, you know, your 7th episode of Star Trek, sorry about that, and for, like, just before Halloween, and it's this. I would have been like, yeah, all right. Because still to this day, it's a little weird. Because it's the only holiday episode of Trek that exists. You have, like, themed ones, but it's the only holiday special where, like, there's Christmas in, like, the Nexus or something. But it's a wig. He was still growing it out where the studio wanted it. He must have been bald when they cast him, because he does not have long hair. Okay, we need more episode with Bones, where he just gives this face like he wonders if his drugs have gone bad, because I'm loving it. Supposed to emulate Davy Jones from the Monkees. I am probably a good 50 years too young to know what that is. Or is that... Wait. Is that the band? Wait, what do you mean none of this... Okay, I guess. He's saying it's not a real development. It's a Davy Jones. Yeah, no, it's a... Sorry, I do know what they are. The Monkees. I just Googled it. It's kind of like the Beatles a bit as well, isn't it? I don't see the Beatles a lot, but... Oh, I forgot Sulu's in this episode. And Scotty. I think we're getting more of those, like, side characters starting with this season. Because they put more people in the credits, too. The band and the TV show. Are they the same? I'm going to be honest. I think I know the Monkees from, like... it was referenced in something I watch. I am still not from the 60s. I haven't seen TOS in ages. What is the episode with the huge cat? That is this episode, yes. It's not one of my favorites 100%. Don't worry, in like 4 years we'll get to Next Generation. Actually, we'll probably do TNG next year. The rate things are going. So the plan is we're doing TOS. We're doing the animated series, probably a few episodes a week. The movies, and then TNG. And then I don't know what's going to happen when Deep Space Nine starts airing, but that's the plan. It's a band that had the TV show. They did that in the 60s. It's like 1960s, whatever the One Direction show was called. That's interesting. I'm just now picturing some sort of 1960s, like, hello, I'm Davy Jones, and you're watching the Disney Channel, and some, like, old-timey version of the wand thing. For Star Trek, you know, on the Disney Channel, it'd be the phaser that they carve out the Disney logo. Do they still do that? Oh, that was a nice little cut. You know, I like that. It's simple, but I have simple expectations in the 60s. I think it's just how practical everything is. There's something I like about 60s shows, so 60s and 70s, like Who and Star Trek. It's not even really in a, like, for its time way. It's like, oh no, that was quite nice. I liked it. Spoken from the guy who came here from, like, another galaxy somehow. I'm gonna remember that because I think this guy fundamentally misunderstands a lot about human society. And I want to know how much information he got. If it's, like, everything Sulu and Scotty know or something else. I mean, to be fair, it sounds spooky. Like, we know who you are. But he has Scotty and Chekhov, Sulu. So he also has their communicators. He probably just heard, like, Sulu, this is Kirk, check in. This is the second episode in probably like 5 that has a talking cat lady. Because Gary 7 wasn't that long ago, was it? Actually, have we done Gary 7? Is the one with Gary 7 season 2? That's the first thing that's, like, gotten a reaction out of him. That cat. That man talks to his cat. I mean... All right, Bones, I'll give you. There's your good counter. I don't know. I'll have plenty of times to complain about Spock. Amok Time's coming up. I'm sure I can find some flaws. It's all like, oh, you don't believe Spock, but it's like, they can do that on the Enterprise. They have transporters. We already did this. It's Squire of Gothos. Except what if the Squire of Bothos was like a little bird man? Here's a question. Is that cat the same one that plays the cat lady in Assignment Earth? I finally remembered the name. Ah, fake store-bought gems. Wait, did you remaster those? They looked a bit CGI. Like, I genuinely had some of those gems as a kid. Wait, he read? I remembered, because spoilers, they're from like a different galaxy or something. It was the same thing as the Squire of Gothos, where they looked at humanity, but they didn't understand that, light takes time to travel, despite being from another galaxy. Um, but I guess he just read he bought a human book in the store, and he read it. I mean, to be fair, everything else here is spot on. Like, this is a perfect human recreation. He's like some sort of game master for an escape room who's broken character because like the puzzle didn't work. That's the vibes I'm getting from this guy, and I'm entertained. So respectful. I mean, in the animated series, there's literally a talking cat on the Enterprise, so I don't know why this surprises them so much. She's a furry, but don't worry, she keeps it professional on ours. Can we appreciate Scotty right now in the background, who I've been enjoying his like blank expression for the past 10 minutes, but I've just noticed he's also holding a phaser at the hip. 10 out of 10. See, he's not playing it in. George Takei's like just bored, but is it James Doohan? It's something like that. Like, he's actually pulling his all for what's this to be a really boring shooting day. Well, apparently not. Scott, I hope Kirk never lets Scotty live that one down. Remember when I took you down by throwing some gems at you? I think you can get this as like a Hallmark ornament nowadays. Well, at least it's, it's courteous of what it's doing. I always like that in my villains. A villain who's just pure evil isn't as interesting as, a villain who's sympathetic to what they're doing. We've probably had Thinking a Man to Death at this point. You had, the Telosians. They fought people to death. Bad kitty. Do you know how hard it is to paint the hull of the Enterprise? Is this the guy who I think looks like Seth MacFarlane a bit? There's someone in, I think it's TOS. It might be Enterprise. Has a guy who I think always looks like it could be a young Seth MacFarlane if the timelines lined up. but I don't know if I'm remembering someone from Enterprise or I'm remembering the fact that Seth MacFarlane is in Star Trek Enterprise. I will be interesting to look out for, though. I think you're having a lot of people on the bridge who we've never really seen before, since, like, the entire bridge crew is down on the surface. So I wonder if this is a one-off, or we're going to be seeing these characters more. Because I don't remember. It's been ages since I watched through Star Trek. I'm surprised Lower Decks never did an episode like this, because I think especially TOS has a lot where they're just never in contact with the captain on the planet, but weird stuff is happening on the ship like this. I bet there's a plot out of that. We've met the Telosians, Kirk. You were there at the trial. It's William Shatner being William Shatner. Telekinesis. And what did he say? It sounded like he said Copton and Sulu. I really hope we cut to the Enterprise in a block of, like, plastic. Here you go. This is a thing you can buy as an ornament. I also like to think that as Kirk is turning this Enterprise, everyone on board's just falling about, you know? Can we get a joke about it being a Russian-built force field? I haven't seen you in a while, Chekhov, and I'd like your catchphrase. It is nice, though, with the casting, because, of course, in the 1960s, having a Russian, or I suppose a Soviet, actually, I guess that's technically inaccurate, but it was the 60s, and having Sulu is an Asian were both big steps. I mean, Uhura's in here. Like, TOS really did a great job with its diverse casting and kind of trying to show that it's an Earth vessel. You know, it's got all the different countries. Off the top of my head, it might even be the best at that. Discovery probably has it beat, but like TNG was a lot of, at least on the human side of people, like just a bunch of white people. I guess you had Geordie, but you had a Canadian, a Brit. Someone's probably shouting like, "No, you're forgetting." Where's Crusher from? Probably American. I mean, she speaks like an American. Best of Trek, worst of Trek. It took a while, but I see what you did here. They've been here almost as long as the episode. Spock, you own a cat. Don't try and fool me. Oh. What is it getting at? That they're spooky? I mean, sure, but I don't see why you have to bring in the idea of some sort of racial memory. Beyond that, Spock, you're half human. You also would have this. I mean, if we pretend for a moment that, like, the idea of a racial memory is a thing, that's actually just made me think, what happens if, like, would Spock's racial memory be some sort of, like, random mix of Vulcan's memory and, like, humanity's memory? There's an idea for a show, a series, or something in that, but I'm not a writer. I'm not going to come up with it. Like all friendly wizards? You know, I'm only realizing as well, this is, I feel like there's quite a few and quite good sets in locations in this episode, but I think the episode's actually just doing something to trick me of that. You have this dungeon, you have that throne room, and you have the cave. The Enterprise sets they're pre-existing, but you do have those. I think there's a hallway later. You know, we had a hallway they fell down. I guess I'm just used to, like, Season 3 TOS, where they have no budget and have to work that into the show. We're all nudists. Oh. Wait a minute. No, I've seen your real form. You have bodies. Can you not feel? That's an interesting concept. This is a weird one, because, like, she kind of seems right. It's like she wants to live in her own, you know, not confined by the rules of her society. But also, she's really leaning hard into, like, torture porn, and that's not good. I feel like I've never, like, he's arguing, hey, no, you should conform to the rules of our society, and he's wrong. But she also shouldn't be doing what she's doing. I want an episode focused on that. I don't think I've really seen a dynamic like that. You could even explore a lot of themes of, like, freedom of choice. Where does that end, you know? I don't think Scotty has closed his mouth since they, like, 20 minutes ago. It's just I'm hyper focused on that. That's a nice throne. Oh, Kirk, don't mess up. I'm going to save all my comments on women for the next episode because I remember what it is. I think Kirk gives off vibes of there's a quote from Doctor Who. I can't remember who says it. I think it's the 12th Doctor. That is like the thing about an interrogation room, an interrogation is that as the person being interrogated, you're the only essential person in the room, and use that to your advantage, and like own it. And I think Kirk very much kind of has that as a captain. Not the Kirk you remember. Of course, the Kirk we're seeing right now stroking this woman, probably for a tactical advantage, which I don't know how I feel about anyway. But I do like a lot of Kirk as he's actually written and not remembered. And there we go. I think I talked over how they got their knowledge of. Oh no, we discussed it. They touched like some sort of racial memory. So I guess the racial memory of humanity loves gems and jewels. And then steal the necklace. We only got 13 minutes left of the episode. We got to come close to a victory. I will say I did not remember any of this aspect of the episode, and it's definitely a weak point. The romantic subplot. I mean, I'm pretty sure Kirk is just going along for a tactical advantage, but still. It doesn't change the fact you have your villain who was something really interesting I just described and is now just has the sole focus of banging Kirk. I mean, I do like that outfit. What is it? No, can you please wear that 60s? I don't know what it was. I just want more of it. If you notice, there's becomes much less to talk about whenever these scenes happen, and that's because the episode really grinds to a halt when these scenes happen. I bet it is difficult to figure out how to have like a sexy makeup session, but you're not allowed to take off anyone's clothes. It looks like William Shatner's really struggling to keep this going without escalating. Whoever's playing that lady isn't, but like Kirk is in an outfit that's stuck onto him a lot more. Let's just put it that way. Oh, at least she realized. If I ever need a reference, a reference for Kirk not being how people think, put that like 10-minute makeout sequence on fast forward and then cut to a telepath claiming that there was no fire in Kirk's mind. Where's the big cat? I remember Big Cat. I remember Big Cat being, believe it or not, a bigger part of this episode. And what happened to this bridge? It's so dark. God. This guy was probably directed to have like no emotion because, you know, Gene Roddenberry's that kind of guy. Because there's just like, it's like if I had to play a starship captain. I'm not an actor. I can't do that. I'll give you a Vulcan, but not a main character Vulcan. I don't got that kind of ability. I'll give you like a one-off Vulcan. He really is giving vibes of a game master who's broken character. It's just kind of weird to see. It's like the actor stopped playing a character, which, like, in universe is what happened. But it's just so weird to see. Oh, you know what? I bet this is a real feeling like a lot of set. It's got a lot of nice props. It's very decorated because it's all very generic spooky things that CBS probably has a warehouse full of and you can get for free. I bet that's what's happening here because it's not. I don't think it's many more sets, but they feel better decorated. It's also probably the Landrew dungeon from last season, but who knows. Spock, I don't know about that one, Spock. I really don't know if you can claim that the cat, just like a big pet cat, is the most feared animal in the history of the human race. It's just so weird. Like, why are we bringing racial memory? Is it just sci-fi? Like, maybe it was a thing that could be real in the 60s and they didn't know. Love the miniature set, by the way. But, like, you don't need it. They're telepaths that miss the brain, and they're going to, like, deep fears in the individual humans they're looking at. You could even write, maybe Sulu was scratched by a cat as a kid, or, like, his dad liked classic horror movies, and he's spooked of them. I don't know. I really want Spock to just do a super jump, like a Mario jump. Boing. I made it, Captain. Look at that. Nicely done. He's got a band-aid on his thumb. It's an intense stunt, but he pulled it off. Look, 10 out of 10. Once we get that romance stuff out, this is the best episode of Star Trek. Come on. Come on. No, it set the tone at the beginning. It's like, this is a camp funny episode. And so give me a camp funny episode and I'll be happy. Nice throw. That was a good cut too, the way they did that. When did that happen? Man, I missed that. I missed Bones getting taken over. But he gets to fulfill his dream of, you know, beating up Spock, so that good for him. No, Scotty, that's Bones' job. No, Sulu, you're supposed to do it without the shirt. We all remember the scene. Apparently, George Takei forgot that scene in The Naked Time, you know, season 1, where he's shirtless with a sword and all oiled up, and he like tries to steal Uhura. When he did the Voyager anniversary episode, right, that took place during the events of the Undiscovered Country, Tuvok, you know, Tim Russ, a big Star Trek nerd, would talk to him to Sulu about that. George Takei apparently had no memory, and I don't know how you forget that. I'm gonna be honest. I don't know. Especially being George Takei, you think like it might come up at conventions and stuff over the course of like 30 years or however long it'd been. Again, I am just amused by how much they don't care about this episode. Like, there's not being superstitious, then there's not being afraid you're going to be mauled by a big cat. That I love as well how it's clearly just a small cat that has a light close behind it. Especially because the other shots were done really well. Wasn't that hard to work out, let's be honest. I know you. I am very unimpressed with your games. I just wanted to do my scans on my ship, and now I'm here. It's clearly the necklace, but, you know. That's a bold claim. I don't want all women. I want that crazy coat you were wearing last scene. That you can have my species. I just want to understand that fashion. Yeah, I'm waiting for that one. You didn't sync up the explosion, though. I guess otherwise you wouldn't see that he broke it. You had to delay the explosion a little bit. All right. And then everyone was better the end. Oh my gosh, 2 minutes left in the episode. Really are. I like how that's his reaction. Not, how did you get here? There they are. Look at our little friends. These are probably the most alien aliens we ever get in the franchise. I hope Scotty never lets Kirk forget that he kissed that. Nope, too late. Wait, what do you mean? They were sentient, Spock. They were, like, fully aware, sentient beings. You wanted to put them in a test tube? Yeah, poor Jackson. It's 50 cents worth of craft store parts shot at 10 frames per second. Well, best of truck, worst of truck, we are watching TOS. Like, look, if 50 cents of craft store parts shot at 10 frames per second is all it takes to make the most alien species we've seen, then maybe the shows with a bigger budget should have tried harder. You know, that's all I'm saying. I love the precursor explanation. Very practical, I get it. But, you know, that's all I'm saying. Yeah, no, I mean, I will not say it is one of the worst episodes of TOS. They're definitely worse. But, you know, it just depends what you want. For me, it set the tone at the start. This is a campy, silly episode that's going to have a lot of silly stuff. That whole juxtaposition I talked about with the sort of preachy soapbox Gene had with, you know, the horror and the crew not caring. But that was great. If the whole episode was that, it's like silly Halloween special, bam, I'm sold. But the romance stuff is definitely something I didn't remember. That was a very weak point. Just you could tell with the commentary, it just stopped. The episode just stopped for like 10, 15 minutes as we were dealing with that. It's very regressive. It ruined an interesting villain that I knew they weren't really going to deal with anyway, because that's not the sort of thing TOS did. That's a very big, very nuanced story. They weren't going to start 30 minutes into the episode. But, yeah, I think it kind of averages down somewhere in the middle. But, you know, if you want something silly to watch at Halloween, I think this is absolutely good for you. It's not the worst, but it's in the bottom 5. Even that's low. Like, I feel I've had 5 worse episodes already in season 1. But, yeah, again, different people. TOS is not for everyone. And especially that campy, silly sort of thing is not for everyone. But sometimes, you know, that's the kind of episode I want. Great to talk. Yep, great to be back. We should be good for ages. 2 weeks from now, on the 25th, the Section 31 movie comes out the 24th. I still don't know what I'm going to do for that. I don't know if I'm going to want to review it. Like, I'm really trying not to assume it's going to suck. One of the actors had a statement recently that he's really afraid of how fans are going to react because the movie is not the Star Trek they want. I mean, I've seen the trailers, you know, it doesn't look Star Trek. I don't think it's going to feel Star Trek. It could still be like a good movie in its own right. I mean, for that matter, it could still be Star Trek. I thought the same about Lower Decks in Discovery Season 3, and I like both of those. Especially Lower Decks. I was like, the Orville, but it's actually Star Trek, is not going to work. We all know how that one turned out. And so I don't just want to do my initial watch-along on stream, because I'm going to miss stuff, and that feels like admitting it's going to be bad. But, like, if it is what it's likely going to be, which at best, not for me, I don't want to dedicate having to review the whole movie just to that. So I might do a watch-along, but I have already seen it. Because, like, I mean, most things aren't totally devoid of value. Even if it's a bad movie, there's still probably going to be some things that I like. I'm like, you know, with the caveat that's not really working in this frame, the prop department did great. I mean, you know, the 13th Doctor era, Chibnall's era of Doctor Who is the same. Like, there's a lot that isn't the writing that is, like, amazing. But I really haven't decided. I don't know if I will decide till the 25th. I also don't even know if I'm going to do it on the 25th, because that's only, like, the day after it comes out. Usually I give a little bit more room, but maybe more will watch, and I really just haven't figured it out. There's every chance I watch the movie, have something planned, and then go, no. Because I'll do that. If it's just negativity, I say no. I stopped Picard Season 2 because it was just becoming ranty, and, like, I'll rant about a bad episode, but if everything is becoming, like, this sucks with no redeeming qualities, I just won't do it. I just don't think that's adding something good to the world. But it's weird with a movie, because, like, if it's basically one episode. Like, if it's bad, the whole thing's bad, but it's not a prolonged thing, so I really don't know. Section 31's going to be different for sure. Can't wait to see what they do, but at least half the fandom will get upset no matter what we get. I mean, the best case for Section 31, I think, is what you heard about the J.J. Abrams stuff a lot. It's a good movie that's a bad Star Trek. It really is fighting an uphill battle with the visuals. It does not look like Star Trek. Every direction, like music, set design, everything from we've seen those trailers so far, even down to, like, being a very grittier, like what Section 31 is, the stuff inherent to the plot, to the setup, is fighting against what Star Trek usually is. And I think I think there's possibility for a good Star Trek that kind of breaks molds. Like Deep Space Nine, in a lot of, I think, more superficial ways than you might expect, does break molds. You know, it is darker, it is grittier, it's downright depressing near the end. But I don't know. For, you know, we're getting into the likely things. We've seen Star Trek break things that were pre-core of the franchise and its modern things. Its modern franchises with Discovery especially. This feels like it's leaning into that side of things. So, but it's also just personally, I'm not really a fan of pure action movies, This is a spy thriller. I haven't seen too many of those. It could be good, but it's leaning into a lot I know I don't personally like in superficial things. Like the music. I hate modern music. It's god awful. I'm gonna hate the music in this movie because I'm just an old man. Just look at this picture of me. I'm an old man. But like, does the fact that the music is modern make the movie bad? No. I mean, it makes it bad. It really detracts from the movie for me personally, but it doesn't mean it's a bad movie. And it's the same. Like, if it's a good spy thriller, I just don't like spy thrillers. Does that make it a bad movie? No, but like, hopefully there's at least something, like one character whose journey I kind of like. I mean, I don't like Giorgio. Mirror Giorgio, Emperor Giorgio. I never liked them. They just felt out of place for the season they were in. And changing the universe so that Giorgio is in place feels like it's just going to be something I'm not going to like watching. But again, like I can go in expecting not to like something, but being like, I might be surprised. You know, it's just all I see all the decks stacked against you. And I think that's important, is I'm like, I might like this, I just don't think I will. Sometimes that happens, lower decks, discovery. But I don't know the plans. There probably will not be a watch-along on the 25th, at least of TOS. I'd love lead time to be able to figure out what I want to do. It'll probably be like the night after I watch the movie. Oh, there's my cake.
Get cake scraps because I'm leveling the cake.
There you go. I'm like, this does not look like a cake, but thank you. I have a bowl of like just some stuff that Alex has scraped off the top of the cake. I assume to make it level.
Cut off.
So it tastes like cake, but
should.
I'm like, that's not a slice of cake, Alex.
It's because I'm still baking the cake.
I will probably watch the movie on the 24th and then decide if I'm doing a watch-along or reviewing it the next day. Or I think it's unlikely I won't do anything. But if it is like worst case scenario, I like what's the worst case scenario is I leave and I go, I don't want to interact with this again. And so I don't review it. Like the only reason I'm not going to review it, I think, is that I can't be bothered to talk about it for an hour. But that's like clearly worst case. So we'll play it by ear. We still got Doctor Who is going to go as normal, and I mean Section 31's only 1 week. I still need thumbnail art. I actually have. So this, I can't decide, right, if this is assuming it's a failure or not, right? I've had this thumbnail idea in my head for like years since they announced this. Is usually I do this sort of cosplay thing, right? And so the thumbnail for Section 31 I've had in my head is that I'm either I'm in like normal clothes, holding up the uniform, or the badge, like depending on the size of the art. I don't want to take up too much space, but I'm holding up the uniform. I've just got kind of like a disgusted, really face, like this is what we're gonna do. You want me to wear this? Or the kind of compromise is wearing the uniform but holding up the badge, those stupid branded badges. And like, really? Branded? But I'm like, what if I like it? What if we make this art and then I actually like it and then I've got this negative thumbnail? Or is that leaning too much into like just hating it? I think whatever it is, though, they're going to be my opinions. I mean, with a day between, I don't think I'm going to even look at what the fan base thinks of Section 31. There's a good chance it'll fall pretty closely in line with what most people think, but I have a tendency to have crazy opinions. I have a tendency to really veer away from what the fandom thinks. So we'll see. It'll probably be interesting, at the very least. So with that, and a cake on the way, I will say thank you all very much for watching, and I'll see you next time!